Here's a code walkthrough for MethodExampleTrapezoid.java. Let's open this up in JGrasp and take a look. So what we see here is two methods. There's the required main method for a standalone Java application, and then there's this supporting method, calculate trapezoid area. This was exactly the method that we implemented step by step in a previous lecture video. So now we're going to show how to put this to use in a program. So let's say that this is our client application, and in here we've established values for all of the inputs that this method needs. They're all doubles. We're hard coding the values here, but we can imagine that maybe we read these in from someplace or prompted the user. And so since this method is in the same file, we can simply call it by name by providing all three inputs in the order expected. We'll jump down to here to perform the calculation, and this entire expression, which returns a double, this can be reduced to one single double value, which is then assigned to the area. And then in this print statement, we're printing out the three input parameters and the resulting area. So let's compile this, and we'll just free run it to make sure that it works. Sure does. Let's run through this with the debugger once. Setting the base, top, height. And notice something. Notice that in the method, we call the inputs B1, B2, and H. Yet when we're trying to use it, we're using variables base, top, and height. This is no problem whatsoever. Remember that Java, when it calls methods, sends copies of those values to the inputs. So these names that are used in the method do not have to correspond to the names when we call the method in some client. That's an important thing to keep in mind. Let's click the bent arrow and we'll jump into here. So notice that a moment ago we had three variables base, top, and height. We passed it to the method. Now we've jumped down into the method, and notice that in the context of this method, these are now three local variables, the three inputs B1, B2, and H, and here are their values. We'll calculate the area and return it, and notice what happens. All of a sudden, when we've jumped back to this context, now the values are back to their original names, base, top, and height. And we're returning that area, and in this print statement we're simply printing out the three inputs and the output. Notice that this print statement spans two lines. That's because embedded in this print statement is this \n character, which kicks the area down to the second line for a little better readability. Notice also that we've got these tab characters embedded in our output for similar purposes. But this is how we would call a method from another method.